Welcome. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 1997 Nickelodeon movie Good Burger in honor of its 25th anniversary. This, for me, is one of my favorite childhood movies. I used to watch it all the time. I had it on the orange VHS tape. I later had it on DVD, and now I have just acquired the new 25th anniversary Blu-ray steel case edition. This is a movie that I still enjoy watching as much as I did when it first came out in 1997. So to get this review started, there's only one way to do that, and that's to say, welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? So to start off with this movie, we have Ed, the dedicated fast food employee who is not the sharpest tool in the shed, but we know he's dedicated because he's wearing his work uniform to sleep and even to bathe. Next, we introduce the other main character, Dexter Reed, high school student who is looking forward to summer vacation. However, on his drive home from school, he has a crossing of paths with Ed, comes in front of his car, he loses control and crashes into his high school teacher, and it's revealed that Dexter is driving without a license and has no insurance and therefore no way to cover the damage. Since Dexter here also says that he's about a year away from getting his license, we can infer that he's probably around 15 years old in this movie. So Dexter, to avoid trouble with his teacher and avoid him calling the police, makes an agreement that he'll get a summer job in order to pay off the damage to the car. So he starts off working over at Mondo Burger, which is the new fast food restaurant in town across the street from Good Burger, with the goal of putting Good Burger out of business. And I just gotta say, the size of the Mondo Burger restaurant makes no sense at all for a fast food place. It's just ridiculous. Dexter's time at Mondo Burger, however, doesn't last very long as he gets into a disagreement with the owner and is quickly fired. That's when he goes over to Good Burger. He meets Ed, unbeknownst to him, for the second time. Ed talks to Mr. Bailey and gets Dexter a job at Good Burger. Mr. Bailey, by the way, is played by Dan Snyder, who is the creative mind not only behind Good Burger, but most of the best Nickelodeon shows of the 90s and 2000s. So, shockingly enough, Dexter gets a job getting deliveries, even though, as we already know at this point, he has no driver's license, but I guess Good Burger doesn't bother to verify that. So next we get the opening of Mondo Burger. And by the way, the owner of Mondo Burger, Kurt Boswell, I think is a classic movie villain of this time period. He plays just an absolute jerk and is perfect at it. Mondo Burger opens and it starts achieving its goal and is quickly stealing all the business away from Good Burger. Also at this point, we see Dexter remember that it was Ed that caused him to have the car wreck that got him in this situation in the first place, so he's mad at Ed. So we see some downhill slide for Good Burger. That isn't until they discover that Ed has his own homemade Ed sauce. Everybody tries it and likes it, and then they decide to start putting it on all the Good Burgers, and this quickly turns business around and starts driving customers back into Good Burger. They're having so much success that Mr. Bailey decides to give Ed a bonus opportunity for each burger that they sell using his sauce. Dexter sees this as an opportunity to profit and fix his situation, so he comes up with a contract that will basically scam Ed out of most of his earnings. At the same time, however, we do see Ed and Dexter's real friendship start to form. Ed is very, kind of seems, you see a part here where he seems kind of sad and lonely, so they start to hang out, and their friendship slowly starts to grow as they hang out on the roof and start to connect with each other. We also, around this point, get a scene that's one of the only scenes in the movie I don't like, and that's when Dexter and Ed get to take a delivery to the Lakers Stadium and get to meet Shaq. And the only reason I don't really like this scene is because it just seems so awkward to me. This scene where they slow motion run up to Shaq, it just always felt awkward to me. But other than that, it's fine. So with Good Burger back on the rise, Mondo Burger is, of course, upset. They're trying to drive him out of business. They don't want any competition. They're confused as why their much bigger burgers aren't defeating theirs. And by the way, I just got to note, at no point in this movie did I ever think a Mondo Burger looked good. They do not look like good burgers. They look odd and weird. So they decide they want to try to steal the sauce. First, Kurt tries to steal Ed away from Good Burger by offering him a job to have him come make his sauce for him instead. When that doesn't work, he brings in Roxanne, a woman, to try to seduce Ed and get him to give her the recipe to the sauce. This, again, does not work. On the other side of things, Ed and Dexter determine that they think there's something off with Mondo Burger, so they decide to sneak in to try to figure out what that is. They manage to sneak into the kitchen and see that they're using an illegal chemical called triamphethol to make their burgers bigger. When this is discovered, Kurt captures them and sends them to, of all places, a insane asylum. So I don't know how an owner of a local business has connections that he can just have somebody locked up freely in a mental institution, but that's what happens. They then decide if they can't have the sauce, they're going to turn people against the sauce by breaking into Good Burger and poisoning the sauce supply. When they do this, they run into Otis, who's in there sleeping. They decide to throw him in the mental institution as well. And then they realize that they only have 4 hours to break out and get back to Good Burger before a lot of customers get very, very sick and thus ruining Good Burger's business forever. So with the help of a few of the patients, they break out, steal an ice cream truck, get back to Good Burger, where they quickly decide they need to break back into Mondo Burger in order to get evidence. While Dexter is distracting the employees, Ed is supposed to go in and steal a bottle of triamphethol and take it to the local authorities. Instead, Ed decides to take things into his own hands and dump the triamphethol into the burger meat supply, which will cause the burgers to keep growing bigger and bigger. This works as while Kurt thinks he's got Dexter and Ed captured and has everything under control. The giant burgers are coming out in the kitchen and start exploding, I guess due to the extreme reaction to the chemical. This starts to bring the very restaurant down around them. These explosions are causing walls to fall down, the kitchen to blow up, and it even launches the giant burger off the Mondo Burger sign down to crash on top of the newly fixed car of Dexter's teacher. So in the end, Mondo Burger is defeated and Good Burger is saved. We see Kurt get arrested due to his illegal use of the food additives. And Dexter tells Ed that although they are friends and they can even be business partners, he's no longer going to take any of Ed's money. The money for the sauce is Ed's only. And we get a satisfying ending with Ed closing it out by saying the famous line, "Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?" Okay, so there are a few points I'd like to go back and discuss. One being way back in the scene where Dexter was working at Mondo Burger. When he's fired, they call in security, and I find it funny that a fast food restaurant has a dedicated security team with uniforms. And as stated earlier, I just find it odd that an owner of a fast food restaurant can just pick up a phone and make a request and have two people locked in a mental institution, basically no questions asked. One of my favorite aspects of this movie is the growing friendship of Dexter and Ed. When they meet, of course, Dexter gets into a car crash from Ed's coming in front of him on his roller skates, and then they meet at the restaurant. Dexter eventually is mad at Ed once he realizes who he is, but through the events of the movie, they become friends, and in the end are closer. Dexter feels bad for having scammed Ed, and they decide they're going to move forward as friends. And it just goes to show what seems like something bad can be a blessing in disguise. This movie to me represents Nickelodeon when it was at its peak. It had the best shows, the best movies that they produced. They came out with a few movies over a space of time, and this is by far, I think, the best Nickelodeon movie that was ever produced. This movie has a lot of great comedy, has a little bit of drama mixed in, and it's just a fun movie for anybody to watch. Like I said, I've been watching this movie since 1997, and I still have as much fun watching it now as I did when it first came out. So to take a look at the reception of this movie, Rotten Tomatoes gives this a critic score of only 35%, which I was shocked at how low this was. And I was also shocked by the audience score. It only gets a 63%. While that is double the critic score, it's still very low for what I would expect. I also see about a similar score on IMDb. It's got a 5.7 out of 10 there. Again, I just find this very low. My personal score for this movie is actually much, much higher. I score this movie as an 8 out of 10. I think this is a great family comedy that anybody can watch and enjoy, so that's my score. If you disagree, just remember that if you mess with Good Burger, you go in the grinder. Thank you for listening to today's review, and hope you enjoyed it, and keep an eye out for the next one. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, and share with others. Thanks for watching.